God, that reminds me of like the most disappointed I've ever been at a restaurant as well. Because
It's
like,
the worst. I didn't want to go to a Michelin star restaurant.
yeah. Well, maybe you should have done your research.
I
Always find yourself in
you
one.
know?
I just thought I'd just book it. It'd be nice, fun.
Yeah. Because I remember, because like one of the most disappointed I've ever been to a restaurant is, so there used to be a restaurant actually that me and Sydney discovered one day.
Oh yeah, another one. Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't exactly like a bougie restaurant, but it was like, let's say like mid-range, you know. There was, we went to this place and it was kind of like a bar, like a kind of like a bar/restaurant kind of deal, but you know, you could tell that the chef was really, really passionate about his food. And so he goes to this bar, you know, have a few glasses of wine, and then, you know, we got to know the chef. Like we got to know the chef pretty well, because he'd always like make us try these, you know, different dishes, and it had, you know, it had some really, really good fucking dishes. I remember he was like trying some really experimental stuff. We had like a ostrich katsu, which was one of the best fucking katsu I've ever had in my life.
That sounds kind of fire.
And he made wasabi ice cream, and I was like, this is...
Dude, wasabi ice cream goes hard.
I was like, this is some weird ass shit. I don't know if I like this. Had a bite and I was like, this is one of the best scoops I've ever had. What are you cooking, sir?
I'll cook it.
Yeah. And he said, you know, one day, a few years ago, he said, oh, unfortunately, you know, we're shutting this restaurant down. And me and Sydney was like, why? Why are you shutting this place down? And he goes, oh, I'm actually opening a new restaurant. And it's going to be like near Ebisu. So, you know, much more central than where we are now.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. We'll come visit you one day, because you do some bang ass food, and it's like the chef was like really, really personable as well. So we just really liked the vibe. So it was the first time we were like, damn, okay, new chef. We're gonna see what this artist cooks up next.
We stand.
Yeah.
We follow wherever you go.
I'll follow this artist, you know. I'll follow this cook. I'll follow this chef. And so a few years pass, and me and Sydney were, you know, we wanted a date, and we just remember this chef that we met here, and we remember the name of his bar here, and we were like, oh, let's see if he actually opened up his restaurant. Search up the name, and lo and behold, he has opened up a new restaurant with the exact same name of the old restaurant. So we're like, great, all right. Opened up a new place, he's made it. Let's go. Like, I remember he was such a nice guy, great food. Let's go check out his restaurant. So one of the big weird things at first was like we tried booking a seat, and there's only one time available, and they say you have to arrive 15 minutes or 10 minutes prior to this booking.
Okay,
and we were like, me and Sydney was like, that's a bit weird, but you know, maybe he's trying to go for some higher class restaurant. Okay, we get it. Chef's trying to make a name for himself. Whatever. Sure. Let's go give it a try. And so we turn up on the day, and we soon realize that there are only. This is when the alarm bells start ringing. There's only 15 seats in the entire restaurant, and the restaurant is just one single room, and then you have like the kitchen and the chef, and it's just a square counter around the kitchen, and there's 15 seats, and everyone has to turn up at the same time, because they are going to prepare for you a kind of like a 7-course meal or something. Right. And it is literally like something out of the fucking menu. And I have never been like more uncomfortable and more disappointed in my life, right? Because the food, I knew I was in for a disappointment when we get the first course, and it's like a snack, like, you know, it's like the first course snack as Connor experienced. But I remember he revealed the meal at the same time. You know, everyone sits down. Everyone's like, you know, really quiet, sits down at the same time. To me, I'm fucking awkward as shit, because I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a dish at the same time. Everyone fucking gets revealed the dish at the same time. And I see caviar, and gold flakes. And I'm like,
That's like the biggest red flag.
oh
Just bullshit.
God. And you get like the 7-minute long explanation.
Kill me.
and
Like, these gold leaves were handpicked from the mountains of Toyama. It's like, I don't care.
yeah, and it turned from, the old place where the chef was all obviously like very passionate, trying some experimental stuff, to just like the most bare bones basic, yes, here's some caviar with some gold leaf, and we use some French cooking techniques to make this soup that goes along with it. And I'm like, bro.
So did the food quality, like obviously the menu changed, did the food quality get more expensive?
The food got more expensive, but that was only because he was using more expensive ingredients.
Right.
Chef fell off. And I have never been more disappointed in my life. This was like, I didn't know you could get this feeling, but this was the exact same feeling as following an indie band, and then they make it big and mainstream, and they start doing,
suck.
Then they start selling out.
and then they start selling out and make like mainstream pop and shit like that. I was like, where is the ostrich katsu? Where is the fucking wasabi ice cream that you cooked up earlier? No, I don't want any of these fucking gold flake shit.
This is like watching an anime and you love season 1, and then post time skip, you're just like, oh man, it's not the same.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember like
The Ebisu arc is a bit mid.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
feel like if I have to spend more than like £50 or
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like $50,
Yeah.
like even like $60, I guess, on myself for like
Yeah.
my entire meal at like a nice place. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, now we're getting in territory. I'm like, this has got to be worth it now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like when I was in Italy, every meal I had was amazing, and it'd be like 3 or 4. It'd be like 2 starters, a main, or maybe like 2
Yeah.
pastas, a main, and dessert. And it'd always be like reasonably, like $40, $50, if that. And honestly, a lot less sometimes. And that was always like the best food ever, and like
Yeah.
the best dining experience, because you're there for a reasonable amount of time. I don't want to be in the restaurant for like 4 hours. I just don't. I'd rather go
Yeah.
drink somewhere else, and like do something else with our friends, or like
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like I don't want to be sitting there having awkward explanations. Yeah, sometimes you want a cool experience, and I can understand that. But I mean, come on. Be
Yeah,
reasonable.
that is always the worst feeling, isn't it? Where it's like you've been repping this place for so long, and you're like recommending it to people. You're like, yo, this place is the shit, and then they just make that one change where it just like all goes to shit.
Because I can see on like a business, and I guess if you want to make a name for yourself as a chef, it's like, oh, okay, let me open a new restaurant and let's up the class. Because I think what I loved and what I love about the Japanese cuisine scene in general is that there's so many like independent places where it's just like a guy who just really is passionate about doing this one thing. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like making yakitori, or maybe it's like making different types of dishes or
about.
meals. And that's what I love. And I was like, I found this one guy clearly passionate about what he did. Fucking sold out.
Yeah, I had the same thing with one of my favorite like skimin places when I
Yeah.
was living up in Saitama at my uncle's place growing up, and like
Yeah.
this place was like right next to my uncle's house. Used to go there every lunch because he would just make this like the most amazing spicy skimin ever. And
Yeah.
I don't know what he was putting in this thing, but it just hit so much different to any other thing. And this is like a relatively like down to earth kind of like skimin place, right? Like it's like less than 10 seats, and there's just one dude in there who's just making it all. And like you go there often enough and you get friendly with the dude and you start
Yeah.
talking to him, you're like, okay, this guy just clearly wants to make something like cool and delicious and whatever. But then I remember after years of going there, I went back one day and there was like 3 other people behind the counter,
Oh,
and
no.
the dude wasn't even there.
Oh.
And I was like, where did the guy go? And he's like, oh, he didn't feel like coming in, and he just hired all of us to like teach him the stuff. And when I tried it, man, I put the half mast up, and I was just like, funeral time for this place. I was like, this is not the same anymore.
No.
Goodbye. And it's the worst feeling when you lose like that favorite place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like someone trying to replicate mum's cooking. And
Yeah.
It's just like, sometimes you try to do it, and
It's like, I'm sorry, man, but you're not my mom.
yeah.
You can't replace my mom, man. You can't do that.
You're not my dad, man. Go on.
Nah, can't do that.